Hello, and welcome to our Employment Law and HR course. My name is Adele Abrams, and I'm going to be your instructor this semester. I'm an attorney, and I'm also a safety professional, and we're going to be focusing on a lot of different issues during the course of the next 7 weeks. Now, I want to warn you, the first week is going to be the roughest. We're covering 4 chapters. It covers a lot of material, but after that, the reading load is going to slack off some. A bit about the course. It is a survey of sorts. We're covering a lot of different topics that I covered in law school. And those were covered over the course of, half a dozen different topics, different classes. Constitutional law, contracts, remedies, employment law and labor law, which in law school are 2 different courses, and much more. I'm not going to be holding you to the level of an attorney in comprehending this information, but the idea is to give you the tools you need coming out of this program to be able to manage HR effectively from a legal perspective. So we're going to cover the big ones. Title VII, which deals with race discrimination, gender, ethnicity, and religious discrimination. We're going to cover the Americans with Disabilities Act, obviously covering people who are disabled, but also those who are associated with disabled people. So that can lead to coverage, which we will talk about, of caregiver discrimination. The Age Discrimination in Employment Act, which covers people 40 and above at the federal level. We'll be talking about that as well. Some of the privacy laws, whether we're dealing with surveillance, whether we're dealing with lie detector tests, also genetic information non-discrimination is another privacy law, and much more. The Americans with Disabilities Act has taken heightened importance in the age of COVID, and so we will cover that in our written materials, and I will be supplementing some of the course materials as well with PowerPoints, such as on the OSHA response to COVID, the latest, whatever that is at the point that we get to it, on the Centers for Disease Control, since that guidance has been changing quite a bit, and much, much more. The labor law portions of this course we will cover in kind of a passing glow. There's a lot to that, and clearly there could be another whole course just on the labor law issues. So beyond that, we are going to have a quiz. We're going to have a final exam. There are discussion questions each week, and those will have 1 grade at the end of the semester. The written problems that you will have, which require you to look at a fact pattern, find the the case that is referenced in the problem, read that case, and then give me a written answer as to how the court ruled, and also whether you agree with it or not, whether you think perhaps the court got it wrong. And it's okay. I disagree with the courts every time they rule against my client in a case. And certainly we see enough cases that are overturned at the U.S. Court of Appeals level, at the Supreme Court level, that it's clear there's often not one right answer. And things can be very variable depending upon the judge and depending upon the fact pattern. So these are just some things to bear in mind as you go through the questions that we have on these different topics. You're also, as I mentioned, asked to do a research paper, and I've suggested some topics for that in the first week's materials. You should pick a topic this week, but it does not have to be one of the ones on my list. I'm trying to cover things that maybe are not addressed in a deep dive in our book, and then you can do an abstract and share the results of your paper with the rest of your classmates. So that is really what the goal is there. So I also wanted to note that in the new administration, there's been a lot of changes in the employment law area from the Trump administration, and there's certainly going to be more to come. But just basics as to the definition of independent contractor has changed between 2020 and 2021. The rules on joint employer have changed from what was enacted in the Trump administration. Those were just invalidated last fall by the district court. And certainly, as I mentioned, COVID, how that interfaces with things like the Americans with Disabilities Act, religious discrimination protections when it comes to vaccine issues, just to use one example, and the changing guidance that we get. That is going to be a very volatile area as well. So as you can see, there's going to be a lot of changes already. There's going to be more. I will only be testing you for the exam and for the quiz on the information from your book that is still valid. I'm not trying to play a gotcha game, nor will I hold you accountable for things that I might throw out, whether it's PowerPoints from presentations that I've done that would update the information in the book. I don't feel that it's fair to test you on that. So we'll be sticking to the basics when it comes to the exam. But I encourage your questions. I encourage you to contact me. I used to teach this course in person many years ago when I first started, and I miss that interaction personally. So if you do have questions, feel free to reach out to me one-on-one. There are no stupid questions. There's only stupid attorneys, I like to say. And I'm also open to the idea of doing a refresher before the final exam, perhaps through a conference line or a Zoom meeting, if there are students who feel that that would be beneficial. So keep that in mind and definitely let me know. I will be checking the messages that you send me. Finally, check the announcements board. Make sure to keep an eye on that, because that is a mechanism for me to get information to you in real time, whether it might be extensions on things, eliminating an assignment, that has been known to happen once in a while, or just simply imparting new information to you. So that's about it for now. My email, in addition to the one for school, which you will have, my work email is safetylawyer@gmail.com. And that is usually the quickest way to reach me. But my cell number, 301-613-7498. Yes, I am in the Eastern Zone, although I do have a Denver office that I work out of as well. If there's exigent circumstances, you need an extension on something, try to let me know in advance if you can. And, I was a night student myself in grad school. I was a night student in law school. I was working full-time through all of that, and I know many of you may be in that position, so I get it. I understand that sometimes life happens when you're busy making other plans. But if you can, let me know if you have a hardship in terms of completing something on time. I will try to make accommodation with you. So that's it. Have a great summer. Be safe. Enjoy the course. I hope I will as well. I always do enjoy reading what my students have to say. I think Mike Pence's fly is dime bombing me here and now. And I'll call it a day at that before the fly takes me out here. So thank you again. Look forward to spending this semester with you. Be safe.